Even when I used to work out all the time, when I used to work out, when I used to work out.
Remember protein powder? Yeah, I used to have it. When I used to work out, I used to take protein powders.
I myself, I jerk off at least twice a day. Wow. Once in the morning, right after I work out, and then once right after lunch.
Well, let me tell you something, brother. Snort, snort, snort,
Hogan. Drip.
snort, snort.
I got the drip. Go. Good morning, everyone. Phil here, and welcome to the Level 1 Podcast. Welcome to my final consecutive streaming day of the week and the final day of the month. Today is Wednesday, January 31st, 2024. I hope I find you all well this morning. I will start off with a statement. Basically, I've been stressed out lately. I know I have been. For many different reasons, some of which are public, some are not. All right? There's been stuff going on in my life, both here on the streams that you're well aware of, because I've made you well aware of it, as well as stuff going on in my private life. And it stressed me out recently, everything combined at once. It's like we've been talking about recently. When it rains, it pours. It's not just, here's a few things that happen over time, so they're easy to handle. No, instead it just has to be everything, all at once, right thrown in your face, and somehow you're supposed to juggle all of it and deal with all of it all at the same time, right?
So Phil starts off with a greeting, and right after that just loses me in terms of any sympathy, because he starts complaining about stress in his life, and I don't think Phil has ever experienced true condition red or black stress. If you don't know, research was done on the effect of combat training, and they introduced this measurement of stress, and depending on whose research you're reading, it'll have a color code, something like green, yellow, orange, red, and black, where red and black are the bad, they're the worst of the worst. Red is where your training is being pushed to the absolute limit. You don't know if you're going to survive, and that will typically bleed into black, which is pure panic, fight or flight. And the idea is the more training you have, the more conditioned you'll be against going into conditioned red or black, and you'll be more effective. And I'm not saying that everybody has been to that condition or level of stress, but Phil strikes me as a guy whose most stressful event in life is if someone recognizes him in a supermarket or he gets a collections letter in the mail, and it just makes it impossible to identify with him.
And honestly, one of the reasons why this month I decided against going forward with the documentary about myself, that's one of the major reasons, is already I've got so much going on, so much on my plate, that I didn't see how realistically I was going to be able to handle all of that stuff, plus take on all of the added burden of trying to properly do this documentary, which, let's be honest, had to have been done properly, because if it wasn't, that was not just going to only, affect me, but you, the viewers, as well. I realize that we are a community, all right? And basically we're in a situation where anything that happens on these streams can affect anyone in this community, right? So I get that, and I'm learning, and I'm a human who gets really stressed out sometimes. And so I just want to start off today apologizing for any stress that I may have relayed onto you in the last week.
This has to be one of the worst apologies I've ever heard, and I heard that one bitch do her ukulele song apology for acting or being a PDF file. But let's unpack what he said. He said he canceled the documentary because it was going to cause stress, so canceling should have alleviated stress, not added on to it, so I'm lost as to why he brought that up. But then he goes full cringe-lord by calling his viewers/indents a community, and that's just straight pig-roach cult speak. It's like when an employer says you're a family. Like, I don't want to be a family. I want decent wages and I want time off. Just like I'm sure people who watch Phil don't want to be in a community. They want to see the monkey dance how they like. So after claiming his dents are in his community, he says he wants to start off today apologizing for any stress he may have caused anyone. And King Be Cruel, I am betting, is waiting at this point for a shout out of something like, King Be Cruel, I shouldn't have lashed out at you like that. There was literally no excuse for it and I apologize. But I'm betting the guy is about to minimize and justify like there's no tomorrow, lest we forget he wants to start off apologizing. But he hasn't actually apologized yet. And maybe I'm being nitpicky or splitting hairs, but Phil broke down LTG's slang to the literal definition, so I'm going to break down his word choice too.
That's on me for being nervous, for being, like I said, at my wit's end for various different reasons. And again, it's not all stuff that we've talked about on stream. There's other stuff going on as well. In life, for me anyway, the thing that ultimately makes me feel the worst is when something is going wrong and I have absolutely nothing I can do about it, right? There's one thing if stuff's, happening around you, like, all right, let's take action, right? Let's fix this, let's fix this, let's do this, let's do this, let's adjust on the fly and fix things and make them better. But sometimes in life, and especially as you get older, you will realize this more and more, as is my experience. There are things that are inevitable. There are things that are destined to happen that you can't stop, all right? And when they happen, it sucks. And it's one thing if it's one thing happening, but when you have a series of events that continue over the course of shit, for me, it's been like now about a year and a half, and the stress levels just keep becoming exponentially more and more and more and more, it wears you down, And for a while there, I feel like I was actually doing real good. Like, I feel like over the second half of 2023 and into this new year, like, there was good positivity and momentum.
He was so close to accountability. That's on me, he starts with, and that's where that sentence should have stopped. If you're actually apologizing or owning your own behavior, you make no additional justifications or excuses. But Phil has to tell you that it's because he was at his wit's end and hides behind the pretense of things behind the scenes before going into how he gets frustrated when he can't do anything about his circumstances. But that is just such surface level thinking, because the stressors you're having that we do know about are all self-induced. You could have saved money. Here recently, Phil chastised a dent for telling him that he and Kat could go to Disneyland for like only $3,000, and he responded, "There's the problem. I don't have $3,000 just sitting around," to which I have to ask, how do you not have $3,000? You've been making six figures for years, but whatever. He then goes to old man grandpa wise man of the mountain style Phil, saying that in life there are things that are destined to happen. Yes, Phil, they're called bills, and you can prepare for them by not dumping money into sweaty man JPEGs on an iPhone. It really is that simple.
Admittedly, early on last year, there was a lot of stress because of bad decisions that I made. But I feel like I adjusted that. And then with the release of something like Street Fighter 6, which reinvigorated my efforts to want to play games competitively and getting a new crowd of viewership back and continuing on with all these different projects and things I've been doing along the year and adjusting, I felt like everything was going smoothly for as much as could be done. You know what I'm saying? And then, then things all happen at once and everything explodes and everything hits the fan. And it's like, now what do you do to fix it? Oh, you just can't. There's nothing you can do. Oh, that's great, because, it's only my life. It's not like this is a video game. It's like, oh shit, I'm playing and things are really going bad this run. That's okay. I'll just respawn with my next life. Oops. Oh, this is real life. There's no respawning of a next life, right? You just have to deal with what's going on and somehow make do.
This insufferable asshole. So, without Super Chats and memberships, and without Patreon or any of his other channels, Phil had $52,865 worth of tips last year. My source is Piece of Pieces spreadsheet. I did the sum of all the days. So, what bad decisions are we talking about, Phil? Like, what just destroyed your bankroll? Please do tell, because the estimated monthly payment on your house this year, when the markets are all fucked and interest rates are high, yeah, that estimated payment is sub $2,000 a month. So we're just going to say it was $2,000 a month. 52K minus 24K leaves 28K. We know you aren't paying $1,000 for a car, but fuck it, let's say you are. For gas and insurance, let's just round it on up to $1,000. So 28,000 minus 12,000 equals 16,000. So there's 16 grand for internet and food, and you might be able to live off that, just barely squeaking by. But Phil, we haven't even considered super chats or memberships or your other channels. So when you say, oh, it sucks, this happens all at once, and how life has no respawn, why aren't you living like that when times are good? Why aren't you living to survive the disaster tomorrow? The answer? Because you could have Hogan's today.
And that's kind of what's been going on with me recently. Because some people have even said, they've come by streams and said, you seem like you're stressed again. It seems like you're at wit's end and you're angry and you're snapping and stuff like that. And the truth is that I'm in a unique situation where I'm put under a microscope constantly. And unfortunately, I'm not allowed to say and do things that other people can do, right? Like, any other person can make an observation about something. and be like, hey, that's kind of like me. I see myself in that. That's pretty crazy. It's like fourth wall breaking. I'm playing a game and I see a connection to my real life. And most people can say that and that's fine. But if I say that, you have 20,000 jackasses who then spin it into something like, oh, he's egotistical, he's this, he's that. What are you talking about?
The phrase, I can identify with that, and this game was literally scripted off my life. Yes, I know he didn't say that exact quote. I'm being hyperbolic. But those two things are completely different. One is understanding or empathizing with the story. The other is being so egotistical that you purport someone creating a whole game around your life. But I'm guessing the guy understands that since he's retconning what happened. And 20,000 jackasses? You inflate your ego even more by aggrandizing your detractors? Bruh, stop taking the question, could he be more cringe, as a challenge? Please.
It's a simple factual observation that any human should be able to make, but I'm not allowed to make it because I'm the devil, right? I'm the villain. So I can't just do normal stuff. I'm not allowed, right? You know, just like everyone else who says dumb stuff like, oh, the reason why you're so stressed out is because you put all of the effort of your business on the fact that it's a crowdfunded business, right? And if you diversified out and you did more than just crowdfunding and you found sponsorships and things like that, you know, you'd be fine, which is completely false. You know, I can't get sponsorships because of these people who ruin everything for me. There's a reason why I'm not in the Twitch partner program, and it's not me, okay? There's a reason why Teespring dropped me from their merch store after having me in there for over 5 years and setting me up themselves, knowing well who I was, okay? I don't have or get the opportunities everybody else does because I'm in a unique situation. I think Mike Klum actually said it best, all right? He literally said to me, in my early research about you, to figure out who you were and everything, as I started to look deeper into things, I realized that you have likely one of the biggest troll communities on the internet, bigger than other people who he's dealt with, much bigger.
Phil, the thing that is keeping you from getting sponsors is called your behavior. When you are publicly facing, when you are going to be the tip of the spear when it comes to someone else's merch, they're going to look at you and do a risk versus reward analysis. I beg you, Phil, look at your own rants. Look at your own toxic shit and ask yourself, if you were the head of $1 million business, would you hire yourself as a spokesman? You don't have the time to do in-depth research. You don't even have the time to listen to trolls, but you do have time to watch one of your streams. I'd argue if someone did that, they have an 80% chance to see you acting like an asshole, acting immaturely, or both. That's why you don't have sponsors. You even said that Mike Klum had to dive deep to learn about the trolls. So at surface level, you're just a dude until people start learning about you.
Which is hilarious because you see some of the other stories and things. It's like, oh, woe is me, woe is me. Yeah, but you don't even have half the fucking hardships, you know, of other people. Woe is you, right? So basically with me, all right, there's just so much going on. There's really no ways to fix the problems that are happening. And what ends up happening is that all that gets pent up inside of me and it affects me in a bad way. And then I go back to my old ways and I do things that are stupid and I bother you guys with things every stream that I shouldn't bother you with. And it is what it is, right? So there's not much you can do about that besides recover from it and learn from it and try to regroup and try not to make the same mistakes for the 27th time, right? So today is going to be a chill day, all right? Today is going to be a completely chill day. All right?
Look, Phil, you want to say you're trying to do better? Fine, I can get behind that. But at the 27th time, you need to take a hard look at whatever the fuck it is you're doing and ask, why are we at the 27th time? What weren't you doing, or what were you doing the previous 26 times to get to the 27th? Like, right out of the gate in this segment, you're bragging that you have more hardships than others. Why? What purpose does that serve? I'd wager good money that if you went back and watched your streams, you could find a phrase or observation you make which serves no purpose other than to inflate your ego, flex that you own something others do not, or that you get to do something others do not. And these statements only serve to gloat, which is, of course, immediately followed by begging, which adds fuel to the detractor's fire.
It's just going to be me relaxing with you guys, enjoying some laid back games. Not even a fighting game, which is a good thing. You know, I like Tekken a lot. Right now, I think it's a superb fighting game, and I'm having a ton of fun learning the game and getting better at it. But it's a stressful game. When you're playing a fighting game like that, that's like adrenaline pumping, nerves on edge, and you need your nerves on edge. That's the thing. You need to be able to react and do things, and you know, constantly a million things going through your head at once, right? So, and by the way, I don't know why Neckbeard Reviews is typing paragraphs in the chat. There's no way I can read them. I'm doing a show. You gotta love it. People are like just typing their heart out in the chat. Like, you see I'm talking to the camera, right? Like, I can't read what you're saying. Anyway. So, I apologize for any stress that I caused this week. Please know that it wasn't intentional. It was because of all the other things going on in my life at this point. And it sucks that, you know, things are just happening all at once. It's a perfect storm of crap, and I got to deal with it, and I got to get through it. And the thing is, you know I'll get through it. You know, I have been through this kind of stuff before. I've gotten through it before. It's not the end of the world. At the same time, it's just incredibly stressful that this is the millionth time that stuff happens that's not in my control. And again, I'm powerless to do anything about it. And that's what drives me nuts the most, you know?
So we're gonna be chill, and we're gonna be positive, and we're gonna... Why is someone typing while I'm speaking? Why, Phil? Why? What purpose did that call out serve? If you're not going to look at the paragraph, don't look at the paragraph. And I do have to note that he did apologize for causing undue stress on people, which was good. And it wasn't intentional, which was still good. And it was because of other things that, well, he almost did it. Lastly, Phil, yes, you are powerless now. That is true. But if you want to stop the 28th time from happening, you have to change. Not everyone else. You. You have to start saving. You have to stop pulling Hogans. And you have to stop flexing what limited power you have over people. When you do try and flex that power to ban or what have you, it's not creating envy, it's creating cringe.
Because as much as I would like to say, I know what I'll do, I'll adjust all my content and I'll try to make it better per feedback, which I've done. New thumbnails, new titling system for my videos, right? Bringing back content that's been lost from the internet for years and making a whole channel to make that presentable to you in a modern format, which you've wanted, right? Keeping shows alive that very well could have died because of trolling activity, but still able to keep them alive because of the help of you guys and on-the-fly thinking. I'm doing my best to juggle all of this and maintain sanity, you know? It's a lot on my plate, because it's not just that. If that was just what I was doing in my life right now, if that was it, that would be enough. But the fact that outside of this office, I've got a private life, and I've got other things going on that you guys are not aware of at all, multiple other things happening that I'm juggling there, and it's incredibly stressful, you know?
Phil, I truly hope you see this video, because this is honestly for you. You need a reality check. You're right in that I don't know what's going on in your life. Let me tell you about my last 6 months. My mother died of cancer at the age of 69. My girlfriend had a growth, which we didn't know if it was cancer. Turned out it wasn't, thankfully. A good friend is battling with, we'll call it, checking themselves out of life's hotel and those 1 a.m. phone calls. We can even talk bills. My main vehicle needed a $950 repair, out of nowhere. My father isn't dealing well with my mom's passing, have to support him while I can. And being gone to support others and being gone for work has put undue stress on my relationship. And I'm not listing these off for a pity party from anyone, or to say, woe is me. To be frank, my life is very stable. It's stressful at times, but it's stable. And these problems I'm talking about, Phil, these are easy mode compared to, I'm sure, a fuck ton of your viewers. So you need to stop throwing pity parties or complaining that life sucks. Life sucks for everyone. Just shut up and grind on.
And it sucks. So it is what it is. You know, I got to get through it. And I want to, again, let you know that if I'm on a stream and I seem overly stressed, right, it's probably a combination of a million factors. It's not just what's going on in that moment, right? But you have to understand that, sadly, there's just people out there that are out to get me for no good reason. Like, it's not because I've hurt them. It's not because I've done heinous acts on the internet. It's because the internet has attached themselves to my ass as a giant pulsating, infected hemorrhoid. And it's about to burst. And they just stay there, and it won't go away because they found that they get pleasure or money or popularity by literally hurting me. And so I have to deal with that on a daily basis. Imagine that there's a group of people out there that are all anonymous, but they can get away with just twisting the knife further into you. And every day that they do it, they get something pleasurable out of it, and you get hurt, and you can't stop them. There's nothing you can do about that, right?
All right, Phil. Yep, I'm going to twist the knife because I have a hunch you are very similar in the mind to me. See, Phil, I don't learn well. I don't pick up subtle hints. I've had to tell my bosses, you cannot concern yourself with my feelings. You must brutalize me with honesty in what I am doing wrong in order for me to learn. And I think that's you, Phil. So as much as I don't like you, I see a lot of me in you, and I don't think you're beyond help yet. So I'll tell you, there are people out to get you. And the whole reason is your behavior. Ask yourself if you could tell your whole life story to a stranger without having to lie or stretch the truth once. If not, you have some work to do on yourself. And I don't have to imagine others hating me, Phil. I do that already. There are so many people with rejection sensitivity dysphoria who think that literally everyone hates them, that they do everything wrong, and their whole life is spent trying to make sure they do right, often being critical of themselves 24/7. And while you may have the everyone hates me thoughts down pat, where you haven't crossed the finish line is that you haven't asked yourself this question yet. Am I the asshole?
It's pretty bad. And there's not much I can do about it, all right? So, it's life, and I want to get better, meaning I want to not be putting that towards you guys, if I can avoid it. So, it's this simple. You're not going to hear it, from me. I'm just going to move forward positively. I'm just going to relax with you guys on streams. We're going to enjoy games. We're going to have fun discussions. I'm not going to be bringing up the stressful bullshit. There's no point. Because again, as much as I've tried to affect the situation in some way, none of my efforts have helped. Like nothing. Literally nothing that I've said, that I've done, that I felt has helped. So why am I going to sit here and why am I going to be so pent up, angry about it, right? When it's time to basically just let it go and be more reserved, and whatever happens, happens. Right? I think that's the better way to think about it, is sometimes in life there's things you cannot control, and you just got to let go, rather than just be so angry about a situation or so try to be control freak about it. Sometimes you just can't fix it. So let it ride and see what happens. In life, generally, in my life, when stuff like this has happened, and I just let it go, well, not really just let it go, but over time, things just get better. So I'm just going to let it go and hopefully things get better. Rather than sit here and harp on shit all day, every day. There's no point. All right? So I've said my piece. I apologize for being so stressed this last week. To anyone who felt like I wasn't myself or you're offended or something. Well, I'm a human and I make mistakes. And I'll continue to make those mistakes, All I can do is finally acknowledge when I make said mistakes.
Which, great, Phil, you're going to acknowledge mistakes. You do realize, however, that acknowledging mistakes or asking for forgiveness means for the shit you did after as well, right? So, yeah, the whole, I have a right to defend myself, that's not owning up to King Be Cruel. Saying, yeah, I was out of line, but the trolls, that's not taking responsibility. Until you're willing to say, all of it was my fault, and for my behavior, I apologize. No one will believe you.
And say I'll move on from focusing on that stuff every single day, right? You guys don't want to come to a stream every day to hear about my income. You guys don't want to come to the stream every day to hear about this problem or that problem with memberships and shit. You don't care. You're just here to have fun with me, right? And to have a good time with whatever gameplay that I'm doing. And I'm grateful to those who come by every day regardless, right? To hang out with me and have a good time. Like, that's what you're here for, right? As I said many times over the years, you are here to unplug from your own lives and hopefully have some good time with me and forget about your own stresses, correct? That's really what you're here for, ultimately, right? When you unplug, you don't want to then go to someone's stream and hear about more stressful bullshit, right? So, I mean, initially, with this whole thing, I think, of course, as they say, hindsight is 20/20. Initially, what I probably should have done, which I wouldn't have known this because the first time I've gone through something like this, is just mention the problem, say it exists. If it further affects things, I'll let you know, and here's how we fix it. Then we fix it. So, for example, I fixed the problem when it came to the React channel, right? The problem has been resolved, and we just did a React show on Sunday that went down without a hitch, correct? So, rather than focusing on it and talking about it endlessly, that's it. All right, I mentioned it, we fixed it, that's it, move on, right?
And here we see Phil feeding himself delusions of grandeur. No one comes by to chill with him and relax. They come by to see what crazy fucking out-of-pocket shit Phil is gonna do or say. Or to see if he's going to be a blatant sexist, racist, if he's gonna be homophobic, or do some other deplorable shit. But rest assured, outside of his dents, no one is coming by to chill.
And that's really what, I should have done, rather than just constantly talking about it, constantly asking for more of this and that and getting everyone all riled up about bullshit, and then people coming here on the streams and getting all frustrated because why is Phil in this mood every day now? Why is Phil stressed out and this and that? You know what I mean? Yeah. So, like I said, today I'm not going to be talking about any of that stuff. I just want to hang out with you guys. I want things to get back to normal here, all right, and more relaxing times. All right, enough of you two idiots. Get the fuck out of the chat. Seriously, you two idiots just got to sit there. Blah, 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 shut up. I'm trying to tell you I want to relax. All right? I just want to relax and have a good time. Oh, let's be in the chat. Let's try to rile Phil up. No, you're not going to do that today. You're gone. Thanks. So, yeah, that's it. And it's funny because normally on a podcast, right, I'd be like, okay, we have all these topics. I came to the podcast today. I don't have anything to talk about. What I want to do is just go through the schedule for the...
What the fuck just happened? Did Phil just speedrun the redemption back to toxic arc? Like, I'm being serious. I thought Phil might have had an ounce of self-awareness, and then bam! Out-of-pocket shit. Phil cannot be real. He has to be a government op or something. There is no way that just fucking happened. Anyway, that's it for this one. Once again, SnortHogan, I owe you big time, big ups, and thank you for the clip. To those who sub, view, comment, and like, we're about to cross 500 subs. I don't even know how the fuck that happened. Know that as soon as I'm able, I plan to start live streaming rarely to see if y'all would enjoy live Broside Phil. But I'm just happy y'all are supporting this hobby of mine. Like, I expected I might hit 500 in a year, not a month. Thank you all from the bottom of my heart. Thank you. Till next time, swole is the goal for a troll. Lift heavy, eat clean. I've learned, says Phil. I'm a better person, says Phil. Get the fuck out of my chat, Phil says 3 seconds later. Jesus fucking Christ.